What's going on, everyone? Jeremy here from The Quartering, and I've got a lot of news to talk about today. 3, maybe 4 videos, but I like to start out with my 1 o'clock hour, kind of covering pop culture, Hollywood news, and as a huge fan of horror movies, some interesting news coming about the new Candyman film, which is directed by Jordan Peele. But before I get into this, I want to give a huge shout out, and you all know how important it is these days, to this video's sponsor. Woohoo! Look at the size of that dragon! In case you've been living under a rock the past few months, Raid is a brand new RPG collection game. It has an amazing storyline, awesome 3D graphics, giant boss fights, and more than 400 champions for you to collect and personally customize. The amazing thing is this game will remind you of the classical RPG and strategy games with the added bonus that it's now on your phone. Enjoy crazy battles and events that keep you hooked for hours and see how crazy the level of detail is on the champions. The title's presentation and stories are comparable to AAA console releases, but the game is absolutely free to play. And check out this almost perfect score on the Google Play Store. Hundreds of thousands of people, can't be mistaken. The game is growing super fast, and expect to see a huge update this month, which will be pure fun for new players, and it's the best time to join in on the action. So what are you waiting for? Go to the video description, click on the special links, and you will instantly get 50,000 silver and a free epic champion to start your journey today. Good luck, and I'll see you in there. Thanks for watching that ad. You know, just trying out the app is a free way you can support the channel. Let me know what you think of the game in the comment section down below. I really appreciate it. So, Candyman, a classic film. I think one of the first scary movies I saw with my wife. And I was very excited about it being remade, and I'm still somewhat excited about it, although I have some concerns. Now, I don't know if this is a new marketing technique, but there appears to be a growing trend of Hollywood blaming fandom when things don't go well, or outright attacking it, as we saw with The Last Jedi situation, and we saw with, I mean, really any Star Wars film these days. Most any film with female leads, any amount of criticism, I believe they're trying to turn around and generate buzz from it. I think it's actually pretty brilliant in the same way that we like to point and laugh at some of the hilarity that we read on Twitter and other places here on The Quartering. I actually think that legacy media is trying to do the same thing by saying, oh, the fans are mean. They're doing, they're saying mean things to this wonderful actress, and that's a huge problem. If you'll remember the narrative around Kelly Marie Tran, having some people say some bad things to her on her Instagram, causing her to leave social media. That narrative is still being pushed, even though she's publicly debunked that and said that the reason she got off Instagram and Twitter was simply because she felt a lot of pressure to get back to people. And I actually understand that. I have no idea what it would be like to have millions of followers, because if you're following me on Twitter, twitter.com/thequartering, please do. There's almost 40,000 of you there, and I really do try to read and reply or interact with as many posts as I can, and it is a lot of pressure. So I actually do understand why she might have left there, but the media spun that into, well, it's all these meanies that don't like her. I never thought any less of Kelly Marie Tran. I thought her character was poorly written. But that's not her fault. You can separate those two things. Now, Jordan Peele, kind of, obviously many of us know him from Key and Peele, which I thought was a very funny show for a very long time on Comedy Central, high budget comedy sketches. It filled a dire need after losing Chappelle's Show. Really, there's still no reason to watch Comedy Central anymore other than South Park, but you can just watch that online. And Key and Peele came out and it had some really funny sketches. Now, Jordan Peele has gone on to do some fine work directing. I thought Get Out was a very good movie, an above average film, an 8 out of 10. I would say a hard 8 out of 10. Do I think woke media swooned over it, acting like it was the next Gone with the Wind? Yes, I do. I believe that the media artificially inflated its scores for all the reasons that we already know. The same reason Black Panther, which was a fine movie too, was rated by some as, 9 out of 10 perfect, or 10 out of 10 perfect movie of all time, best Marvel movie ever, even though that movie had a lot to improve on. Get Out, I thought, when I watched it, felt really unique. Maybe it was a complete ripoff and I'm missing it, but it felt like a really kind of unique movie. It was gripping. It was interesting in the theater. I love films like that. Movies like It Follows, just these slow burn movies are huge in my library of things that I like to watch. Then he came out with Us, and I bought a ticket right away because Get Out was awesome, at least I thought. And I hold like scary movies to a lower standard, unfortunately, because I'm such a huge fan. And it's so difficult to even just get a passable film. If you're a fan of this genre, you know exactly what I mean. We get absolute trash every year. The best we can hope for is another retread of the Halloween series, or, another film series that we love from our childhood and being mediocrely done. Like, I thought the last Halloween was actually pretty dang good, but it's still just another Halloween movie. So I saw Us, and I thought Us was very bad. I would probably rate that movie, and again, I don't consider myself a critic. I'm just sharing my personal opinion. I would rate that movie probably a 5 out of 10, 6 out of 10. It had weird, mistimed comedic relief. It had weird pacing, a really obvious twist. It wasn't that good, and I regretted paying $15 to see it at my local cinema. Then Jordan Peele rebooted The Twilight Zone and did, in my opinion, a horrible job at it. The Twilight Zone is just not what it used to be, and this is a problem with reboots. Hollywood acts like, oh, it's no big deal if old fans didn't like it. I mean, Hollywood media. But of course they need the old fans. That's why they called it Twilight Zone. This is the same Ghostbusters argument all over again. If you're rebooting a franchise, you absolutely need the original fans to embrace it, like Sonic, for example. To discount original fans' opinions is absurd. Now, I wasn't really into Twilight Zone when I was young, when it was on originally, but I did really enjoy that show along with X-Files and things like that. X-Files reboot would be a good example of doing it well, I think. But now Candyman's come out, so I've been soured by Us. I was cautiously optimistic. I probably won't see it in the theater now, but we've seen. Horror fans have been questioning what the new Candyman movie, produced by Jordan Peele through his Monkey Paw studio and directed by Nia DaCosta, would be about now that Chicago's infamous Cabrini Green housing projects have been torn down. And now we've seen the first small answer. I'm speaking at the Produced by conference via Deadline. Monkey Paw creative director Ian Cooper revealed that Peele wants to use Candyman to address how toxic fandom has become. He said that he and Peele talk a lot about fans and the idea of appeasing fans, specifically when to do it and how to do it and when not to do it. I'm not sure you ever want to not please your fans. That seems like the words that are spoken by a man who has forgotten the struggle. I believe that to say that, to lean on, well, I have to do what I want to do, is forgetting all the hard work that it took to get there, all the fans' dollars that we gave you to support your bad films like Us, the hours I gave into watching Twilight Zone because I still like Key and Peele. Fans do a lot to please the stars too, in my opinion. And it's not just a one-way street. Remember, we do pay you. He adds that he thinks fandom is really problematic, which Deadline takes as a reference to stuff like Game of Thrones petition, Star Wars Kelly Marie Tran, and definitely more than just fandom, but whatever. He wouldn't say how far it would be reflected in the Candyman, of course, but it sounds like Peele has some idea in mind that specifically plays to the expectations that a Candyman fan may have for a remake reboot. The idea has apparently gone through a ton of revisions, including some that are so high concept they're basically Gus Van Sant film. Now, bold move. Riling up the fandom, the original fans, the people that would have seen this movie based on name alone, long before the movie ever comes out. I get that there's always something to discuss there. There's an interesting story around, like, you know, a fan that turns into a stalker or, you know, something like that. But this seems like a direct shot at fandom, at critique. And honestly, the Game of Thrones petition and the Kelly Marie Tran thing, I think, were very different. The Game of Thrones petition wasn't about any one person. It was about how disappointed with the final season most fans were, in particular the last 2 episodes. The Kelly Marie Tran thing, I think, was much ado about nothing. I think she probably got the same amount of vitriolic comments as anyone, which, by the way, I disavow. I've always said, even when I covered the whole situation, that, look, you can make fun of her character all you want, you know, Rose Tico. But no, you shouldn't, because you shouldn't go take it to her personally unless you're addressing something she has said personally. For example, you know, if somebody says, I don't care what a 40-year-old white dude says about my movies, you can address that person directly. But if you didn't like their character in a movie, I just think that's probably beyond the pale. Now, this, of course, wasn't the first time Jordan Peele got into a little bit of trouble. Last time, having a statement saying he wasn't interested in making a white dude the lead anymore. Now, I get it. Again, I believe that he should be able to cast whoever he wants to cast in his films. This is a conversation I have with Sky Williams about it. Look, he can cast whoever he wants, right? But, you know, you have, you know, an interesting take, and again, out of context. You know, Sky said Jordan's message is fine because there's a massive outstanding debt to actors of color. That I 100% wholeheartedly disagree with. There is no debt to anybody. You know, Jordan Peele is doing exactly what I would say. Hey, you want more movies with more black cast? Make them. That's exactly what he's doing, so that's fine. You know, Tyler Perry, that's fine. I don't care. You know, if a movie's good, I'm going to see it. Get Out was good. Us was good. I didn't care about the color of the cast. Some people do care about that stuff, and I guess I don't. But it's interesting that you're going to choose to spin up this kind of controversy. And again, as I've always said, and I've learned to take a little softer edge on this kind of stuff, where I know the media is going to tack a statement onto their own narrative to push it. So the media loves to attack the fandom. Why? Because it gets them traffic on their websites. All right. Websites that desperately need traffic. Jordan Peele might have a completely different idea in this, but it's absolutely being spun as, of course, the fandom thing. Candyman producer says new film will address toxic fandom. Here, we talk a lot about fans. Cooper is likely referencing fan petitions. It typically comes with the dogma that is abrasive and that is more resistant to change and permutation than you would think, Cooper said. I think we're trying to do Candyman is both mischievous in how we address the relationships to the first film, but also be very satisfying. Candyman is based on a Clive Barker story. What we're doing with Candyman and how Jordan is crafting it on the page is going to be very exciting and rewarding to audiences that haven't seen the original film, as well as people who have seen the original film. See, that quote kind of gets ignored in many of the articles. I think you have to absolutely pay fan service to original fandom when you use their IP if you want it to succeed. Cooper said, in a broad sense of the word, this film will stand alone. If you've never heard of a film called Candyman, we'll dovetail in a pretty complicated and interesting way to the original. In short, I think we'll really fit in what we're doing with Us and did with Get Out in a way that will be circuitous? I don't know. Circuitous? The Candyman that Peele is now producing is the latest of many approaches Peele has attempted. It's something Jordan has been talking to me for a while. I mean, I love Candyman. I'll definitely watch this film, but, you know, if they continue to push down this narrative of, ha ha ha, take that, toxic fans, if the media continues to push that, then I just won't see it in the theater, and that's fine too. I hope you enjoyed this video. I'd be interested to hear what you think. It'll definitely be a bold move if they choose to go after the fandom. Hope you enjoyed this video. We'll talk to you again real soon.